even with all the gripes I have against the rest of the game, easily the worst part is the sorry fucking excuse they have for a story mode. First off, they use that stupid fucking story system from MK vs DCU. You see, fighting game story modes are usually done in one of two ways. 1. Pick a character and do a bunch of fights, some random, some unique with cutscenes, like in Dead or Alive for example. Or 2. The not as good idea of having a single story focusing on one or a few characters in particular, like in MK's Conquest mode or in Tekken 6. X-Men Next Dimension had a really interesting idea where it changed between characters regularly, sometimes specific characters, other times letting the player choose from a selection of X-Men. But MK vs DCU chose to go with a system where you're given a character to do 4 fights with and then move on to the next character. Always 4. No more, no less. And it's very rare that a character will win a fight outside of their own story, and the characters that don't have story chapters at all are even less likely to win a fight. Also, you can never skip the cutscenes. Even if you've already seen it and you turn the game off and come back to it later, you have to rewatch the cutscenes. Pain in the fucking ass. And each fight is 2 out of 3 rounds, even though that makes no sense in a fight to the death. So they thought, that story system was so brilliant, we'll use it again. And it's actually worse here because it's easier to notice when they threw in a fight for the sake of having one to meet the quota. I'm looking at you, Jackson Johnny Cage. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The plot here, as I said before, is a reboot done in the style of the '09 Star Trek reboot. The story opens up in the aftermath of MK Armageddon with shots of various characters dead in various horrible ways. Everyone is dead except for Raiden and Shao Kahn, who are fighting at the top of the pyramid. A few questions immediately spring to mind. Question 1. Why do all the characters have their MK 2011 designs instead of their MKA designs? I know it's for technical reasons and laziness, but Sonya and Reptile for example clearly don't look like they do in MKA. Question 2. Where's Taven? He was a focus for Armageddon's story and he had 2 endings about him killing Blaze. So where the fuck is he? Aside from the still image depicting an early event, Taven doesn't get a single mention in the story. Question 3. What happened to Blaze? We can assume he was killed by Khan, but he too goes unmentioned. Question 4. Shao Kahn was flown away by Onaga. Are you seriously telling me that Shao Kahn killed Onaga, who required Shujinko powered by the abilities of the entire Deception cast to kill, and somehow made his way back and killed everyone else before Blaze was defeated? Bollocks! So, how many of these perfectly legitimate questions will be answered over the course of the story? Fucking none of them! They didn't care, they didn't give a fuck, because none of it's going to matter after the opening cutscene. So here's the plot they went with instead of the original wipe the slate clean idea. Raiden's getting twatted by Khan and realises he won't survive this. So he picks up his medallion that he never had before and puts his memories into it with the message, "He must win." He's then struck down by Khan just as he sends his memories and the message back in time to his past self right at the start of MK1. Question 5. Why does Raiden have the personality of Good Raiden? He died at the start of Deception and returned as Dark Raiden. Keep in mind that Dark Raiden was willing to murder Shujinko for accidentally reviving Onaga, revived Liu Kang's corpse as a zombie with no soul, made a deal with the villain to help them get power in return for them leaving Earthrealm alone, and, upon attaining power himself, would destroy all the other realms to eliminate any threats to Earthrealm. Question 6. Where did this medallion come from? He's never had it before, and it's a major plot device and he's supposed to have always had it. Question 7. Why does the God of Thunder have this amazing temporal power? Question 8. If Raiden can send a message back in time, why has he never done it before? Let's just take a minute to list off all the horrible things he could have prevented by using this power. The deaths of Earth's heroes at the hands of the Deadly Alliance, the resurrection of Onaga, the death of Liu Kang, Shinnok's murder of the gods, Shao Kahn's invasion of Earthrealm, the attack on the Wuxi Academy, the death of the Great Kung Lao, Shao Kahn's conquest of Edenia and Sindel's subsequent suicide, Onaga and Shao Kahn's conquest of Outworld, the annihilation of the Zerterrans, and Shinnok's betrayal and subsequent war, which resulted in said annihilation. Question 9. Why not send the message to his MK3 self, since he's the one who needs it the most? Yeah, spoiler alert, we only find out who he is when he reaches the MK3 part. Question 10. He must win. Who must win? This is a major plot point, but it's not like he has no time and got killed immediately after saying win. He had plenty of time to say the person's name and why before dying. Or he could have created visions of what happened and how he wants to change it. But no, he goes for the vaguest fucking message possible, and this is the crux of his whole plan. What the fuck does he expect the result to be when he gives no fucking details? Well, we're going to see exactly what Raiden causes by being such a fucking idiot. So Raiden receives the visions and his amulet cracks. Liu Kang notices, and I'm just grateful they redid his face because it looks stupid in DCU. We see various characters including Cyrax and Sector, Nightwolf, Scorpion and Quan Chi, as Shang Tsung arrives with Baraka, Kitana and Jade. Question 11. Why the fuck are these characters here? Do you have any concept of how time travel works? You see, when you go back in time, everything is exactly the same up until the point you start changing things, and Raiden hasn't done anything yet. So, why the fuck are half the cast of 2 and 3 here? I'm going to start a counter of all the changes that have been made that Raiden does not have an impact on. I'll let costume changes slide, but that's it. Okay, Sector, Cyrax, Nightwolf, Quan Chi, Kitana, Jade, Baraka. That's 7 in the first cutscene, but there are more on the way. Shang Tsung introduces himself to the gathered warriors, including a cameo by DLC character Scarlet. Meanwhile, Johnny Cage is busy flirting with Sonya. And I'll admit, I actually like Johnny Cage in this game. He's one of the few characters that I don't have any problems with.
That old geezer's the final challenge? They might as well give me the belt right now. They do have belts, right? What? How did you...
Appearances can be deceiving.
So we begin Chapter 1, Johnny Cage, which means we're getting Johnny's fights out of the way first, and he'll never win another fight again. His first opponent is...
Reptile!
Johnny beats Reptile and does this awesome display.
That's it. Ha ha! Oh yeah, I'm so pretty. And I'm taking you down, I'm taking you down, I'm taking you out, I'm taking you out, and I'm taking you out for dinner.
Next, Johnny fights Baraka and, of course, wins. And then Shang Tsung tells him to...
Finish him!
Finish him? Yeah, right.
Naturally, he refuses, which Raiden approves of, and Tsung says the tournament will continue the following day. Johnny tries to find Sonya, but Raiden stops him to explain the backstory of the tournament and the stakes.
Look, I don't know what kind of role-playing you guys are into, but count me out.
But if we lose this time, Shao Kahn will conquer all. Dun dun dun!
He leaves, and I take notice that he showed no sign of knowing Liu Kang, even though they met on the boat there, according to the official MK1 comic. He finds Sonya, whose high-heeled boots seem a bit impractical for combat, trying to call for backup. She says they have Jax, even though he's not supposed to be here. Johnny doesn't take the hint that Sonya isn't interested, and they fight.
Ha ha! Not bad for a... girl.
Following that, Johnny tries to help Sonya to her feet, but she's none too pleased about the situation. Then Kano shows up out of fucking nowhere and throws Johnny off the bridge. He manages to grab on and jumps back up. He beats Kano down and Sonya warms up to him a little, explaining that Kano was an informant in the Black Dragon investigation, but turned out to be the leader, and one of their guys got killed because of Kano. So the teleporting and flying old man, the invisible lizard man, and the dude with the blades coming out of his arms weren't enough of a tip-off that Raiden was telling the truth. It was the guy with the Terminator eye that was. Logic! Anyway, That's all of Johnny's wins out the way, but Kano's escaped, so Sonya leaves Johnny to find Jax, leading to Chapter 2, Sonya. Funny that it's Sonya and not Sonya Blade, given that Johnny had his full name said, but whatever. Sonya finds Jax in a cell and his face has been redesigned too. And I'm really glad they did change his design from his DCU version, because that version was clearly based on Lynn Williams' portrayal in Annihilation, and we don't really need a reminder of that film, do we? Shang Tsung arrives and declares that Sonya will fight Sub-Zero, who arrives via his new non-tentacle ice teleport. These motherfuckers are way too into teleport moves. And besides that, why is Sub-Zero fighting for Outworld? According to the rules of the tournament, you can't fight for one side if you're from the other. That's why Bo Rai Cho can't fight for Earthrealm, because he's from Outworld. So Sub-Zero shouldn't be able to fight for Outworld since he's from Earthrealm. Great continuity, guys. Raiden arrives and has a vision of Liu Kang's victory over Shang Tsung. It tells Sonya that she won't fight Tsung, and she beats him up. He provides a distraction so Sonya can free Jax and escape. She calls for Evac, and Katana and Jade show up for our first endurance match, wherein you control one character and the computer controls two. As hard as that is, Sonya beats them both, but the chopper is shot down by Shang Tsung, who has Sonya fight and defeat Kano, even though Kano isn't supposed to work for Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn until MK3. Shang Tsung stops her from finishing Kano and the villains leave. The heroes arrive and Raiden heals Jax. Sorry Raiden, but Cole McGrath was doing that 2 years before you were. Lightning healing people, fucking stupid. Raiden explains about his visions and that he can't compete unless directly challenged, but the tournament must run its course. Which leads into Chapter 3, Scorpion, and trust me, I have a lot to say about this part. Strap yourselves in, kids, this is going to be a long trip.